She was 12, right?
But she wasn't
12.
physically developed.
But he wasn't even her first. Remember that saying?
Right.
Like he said, "Dear reader, I was not even her first."
Right. I guess for me, I've always thought that I have no problem actually with criminalizing. Well, no, I have no problem with the law saying that sex
pre-pubescent. Yeah.
Well, pre-pubescent, I have no problem with the law actually criminalizing under 18. I mean, it's not, in Ireland it's 16, but I do think, regardless of whether we choose to ignore it or not, to group pedophilia, which to me is sex with pre-sexual creatures, humans, with what you could call a phebophilia, with young under 18 sexual. It's a different world.
Yeah. And 12 is not pedophilia. Like 7 and below is pedophilia. I mean, when I was 12, I was feeling pretty randy.
Yeah, I got randy about 9.
Okay, and there were girls who were randy at that age too.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot, but there were some that were quite adventurous.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was too shy, I think, to execute my randiness at that point. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, human sexuality is messy. The thing you got to keep in mind is it is what it is.
Isn't it a great way though to gauge male desires? To just look at rape statistics, because that is what men don't rape women over 30.
But the
it's
thing
very rare.
The thing interesting that one woman said to me once that I thought was that really stuck with me was that she said, rape is about sex, but it's also a political act. And I was like, well, okay. At first, I interpreted it as, oh yeah, rape is about power, right? But then I was thinking, no, she's saying that what she was saying actually, and she did elaborate a little, was that you're saying I want this, and I ought to have it because I want it, and that it's that the natural order must give me what I want, or that the world must give me what I want, and I will not take no for an answer, and that is political. She was saying. It's an interesting...
Women have a hard time realizing how strong the male sexual urge is and how it's different from female sexual urge, and they just don't like to accept that a man is dying to have sex, and he will take it if he can.
But the female sexual urge is just as powerful, really. I mean, isn't it?
How often do you hear of women going around raping guys?
Well, but they don't get to the position where they're, oh my God, I desperately need sex, and there's literally no man who will give it to me. There's always a man who will have sex with you if you look hard enough.
Well, then how come there are all these randy men and women who are like, I'd rather have a glass of water and go to bed early?
Well, because women are more particular about what...
Yeah, they want it from someone who's powerful and will give them money and protect them. And
I don't think they want sex from someone who has money and will protect them. I think they want protection from someone who has money and will protect them. But I think often they want sex from men who know who they are, and that's it. Like, I mean... Yeah, I think women have a... You know how we say we men have a Madonna whore complex?
Mm-hmm,
We want well, women, they say, have a cad and dad complex. They want the dad. They need the dad. Dad's got to... but they also, for sex, they respond to the cad, whether they act on it or not.
Do you ever wish you were black? Like, I wish I had like a natural self-confidence that comes from possessing a long, sharp spear.
Well, I was actually talking to an African American gentleman about this very recently. I don't wish I was black, but I have noticed over the years that there are a lot of things that African American men seem to intuitively understand that other ethnicities seem to have a hard time grasping.
Like if the woman is bothering you, you just knock her off.
Well, I don't mean that.
There's
so
just
much.
like a natural ease.
Well, no, but they know. What he said to me is that I said, "Well, why is that? Why? Because it's all proportions. I mean, you have white men who are great with women and black women men who are terrible." He said, "The difference is black men know how to appreciate small things," and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting thing to say." But it's really not about. It's about self-assurance, kind of, and he said the self-assurance is just knowing that you're in your body and appreciating small things. It was interesting.
Remember when we went to church and how all the black people, they smelled so good, they were all dressed up nice, and like you go to shul on Shabbos morning and people are schlumpy,
right.
I mean, because they're not allowed to bathe by Jewish law
right.
on the Shabbos, And I mean, you go to church and people smell good and they're
right.
clean and
Yes.
they just showered and they're wearing their best. And you go to shul and people are schlumpy.
Right. Yes, and I think that that's very telling. Very telling. I mean, I think that Jewish culture, for all its advantages, I think that there's a confusion about men don't know they're men really, and also they don't pay attention to sensual things. Like they don't. The fact, like, yes, I mean, there's a lot of people who they don't want to go into a place that smells like shit. They will if they have to, but they won't choose it. And it's because they enjoy. I think that gets back to enjoy the small things. They enjoy nice smells. They enjoy nice sights and feels and sounds. And they don't want to go where everyone is like, you know, smelling like shit and look, you know, it's just not their thing. And I want, for myself, I want to take some of that from what I see in African American culture. Yes.
So we're talking about Joseph.
Yeah.
And he sounds like quite a disagreeable character. It says here that Joseph would bring evil reports about the children of Bilhah and Zilpah
Right.
to his father Jacob.
Right. But Jacob asked him to do that, I believe. I think Jacob had said, "Tell me what your brothers are up to." I don't know why I think that. But
I don't know why you think that either. It's not in the text, but maybe the word of the Lord came unto you.
I did read a little bit about what was bothering Rashi this week. Maybe it was in there. But in any case, yeah, there are certain things. Joseph is my namesake, so there's certain things about what he does that are just, yeah, he tattles, and he says very hurtful things. I mean, telling your brothers that they are destined to prostrate themselves before you, that's just off. Like it's just it's a paper cut to the heart. It's a stupid thing to think and to say, I think. You know, and he's supposedly in the Kabbalah, Joseph represents unification. Well, there's no unity in telling your brothers that they're going to prostrate themselves to you. That's just a jackass thing to do, right? I mean, don't you think so? So he doesn't seem like much of a unifier in those incidents.
Yeah, he's not Barack Obama.
He is no Barack Obama. Let no one mistake Joseph for Barack Obama, because he doesn't. He's missing some of Barack's skill sets. But I mean, and also even just wearing the, well, I don't know, wearing the cloak of many colors. I mean, Jacob made a mistake giving him that thing. I mean, you don't make a cloak of many colors for one son among 12. That's just off also. There's not a lot of compassion in that. Like, no compassion from Jacob towards the other 11, and no compassion from Joseph towards the other 11.
Right. I mean, Joseph even dreams that Jacob and his mother will bow down to him too. So.
Yeah. Well, that was, yeah. And that does he get satisfaction on that later? Does that happen?
Well, I guess he saves their lives.
Right.
So I mean, it does basically happen. But what percentage of people do you think in their heart of hearts dream about other people bowing down to them?
I think that men, a very high proportion of men, dream of having. Yeah. I think women dream of having wonderful conversations with. Right. They also want people to bow down, but not as much. Right. They want other women to bow down, but yeah, I think it's a very common human drive. I mean, it's part of what we are. I think you can get past it. I don't think we're enslaved to that. And
you can also. You also don't have to tell other people about it, so
right, yeah, right,
it.
Yeah, you don't have to say that. You know, it's funny. I was thinking, God, how great it would be to see you, you know, just prostrate in front of me. That would be so cool. That's just not. No one wants to hear that. And I mean, most people don't want to hear it. And it's also, like I say, I think it's. Look, Konrad Lorenz was a very influential ethologist who wrote a book about aggression in the 50s, I think, and he said, you know, we're all human beings, all creatures are a parliament of impulses. So whatever if we're given this impulse to want to lord it over other creatures, it's not, maybe that's always with us in some way, but I think you can learn through self-mastery that this is actually not what I want. It's an impulse that's there, and but it's silly, and actually comes from weakness. I think you can get past it.
Okay, chapter 37, verse 28. least the commentary